Let's have a look at a typical level 2 maths question relating to area. Here's the question. This is a diagram of a doll's house that Jayden has made. Two faces are each in the shape of a pentagon with a vertical line of symmetry. All the other faces are rectangular. The base angles of each pentagon are right angles. Jayden wants to cover all the surfaces of the doll's house with paint. He knows that the total area of the base and the roof is 1.3824 square metres. Jayden has enough paint to cover 3.5 square metres. The question is, has he got enough paint to cover that doll's house? So first things first, what we have to identify is what are the important parts of this particular question. So I've highlighted there that the fact that the two faces are each in the shape of a pentagon with a vertical line of symmetry. That's the ends. All the other faces are rectangular, and he knows that the total area of the base and the roof is 1.3824. That's already been worked out for us, so we don't particularly need to worry about that. Okay, let's work this question out. We know that the base and the roof total area is 1.3824 square metres, so we write that down. That's already been calculated for us. We don't need to worry about that. So now we need to focus on the front and the back of the house. We know that they're rectangular, that's what we've been told. So now we need the measurements. So we glance at the measurements that are on the diagram and we see that everything's in metres. So we don't need to do any conversions. We know that to work out the area of a rectangle, it's the length times by, in this case it's going to be the height, because obviously we're talking about a wall. 0.96 multiplied by 0.63. Okay. Gives us 0.6048 square metres. There are two of those, one at the front and then obviously one at the back of the doll's house, so we're going to multiply that now by 2. So the front and the back of the house total is 1.2096 square metres. So now we need to focus on the end, the two ends of the house. So what we could do to make this a little bit easier is to cover the part of the house that we've already worked on, and we can see that the end of the house, the shape of the end of the house, is that shape. So how do we work this out? The first thing we need to recognise is that that shape is made up of two shapes. A triangle and a rectangle. So that means we have to do two separate sums. So let's focus firstly on the rectangle. Looking at the picture, we can see that the base of the rectangle there is 0.7 meters. We can see that the height of the rectangle is 0.63 meters. So that's our first sum. What we now need to work on is the triangle. Remember the formula to work out the area of a triangle. Base times height divided by 2. We can see that the base of the triangle is 0.7. But what we don't have is a height. So back to the original picture, and we can see that on the left hand side of the diagram here is this number 0.75, and you can see that that goes from the bottom of the house, the base of the house, to the tip of the roof. So in other words, that bit is 0.75. So if we already know that this bit here is 0.63, we've got 0.75 minus 0.63, which is going to give us 0.12. So we now know that the height of the triangle is 0.12. Put that into our equation. So now we've got the area of the rectangle, the area of the triangle. We will add those together. And then we will multiply that by 2 because there are two ends of the house. So now what we've got the base and the roof, which were worked out for us. We've got the front of the house and the back of the house. We've got the left hand side and the right hand side. So we've got all the measurements we need. As you can see, I've underlined them in red because there's a lot of numbers on that paper now. So the idea is identify the ones that we now need to use. So we need to add those three highlighted numbers together. So the total area of that doll's house is 3.558 square metres. The question said that Jayden has enough paint to cover 3.5 square metres. Has he got enough paint? The answer to the question would be no. That's a typical multi-stage level 2 area type question.